Well, big news out of Ukraine yesterday. The New York Times revealed that classified war documents, this is per their report, detailing secret American and NATO plans for building up the Ukrainian military ahead of a planned offensive against Russia, were posted on social media channels, according to senior Biden administration officials. The Pentagon doesn't know who's behind the leak of this document. The New York Times is reporting that military analysts look at it. They say the documents seem to have been modified in certain parts, overstating American estimates of how many Ukrainians have died and then understating our estimates of how many Russian troops have been killed. Now that, they say, could point to this being a disinformation effort on behalf of Russia. Ryan, what do you make of this? Ukraine was already hesitant to share intelligence with the United States to the point where some of our military officials were saying we would know more about Russia's battle plans than Ukraine's at certain points in this war. This has to almost totally disrupt that once again.
Yeah, and so even though there are some figures that they're saying are inaccurate in here, the U.S. intelligence is also clearly basically authenticating what's out there circulating on mostly on Telegram at this point. And what's important for Russia in there is that it's given a lot of details about American and Ukrainian capacity that they didn't have before. For instance, it lists, according to the Times, how long it takes basically a HIMARS unit to get worn down.
Right.
These are those missiles that you see that are quite mobile and good at hitting those ammo depots or other locations, and then they can quickly move around. Russia didn't know how long they would last, how quickly they could be replenished. Now they have that kind of information. They have information on the size of the trained battalions that are going to be coming. It looks like something like 60,000, mostly U.S. trained Ukrainian troops will be ready, half of them roughly by March 1st, the other half by like April 1st towards the end of April, which also then gives a signal that this offensive that they've been talking about launching is coming. That, or at least certainly the equipment, material, and the manpower is going to be delivered there. So it does give Russia some advantage, and it gives some, like you said, some psychological advantage because it'll end up disrupting intelligence sharing further between Ukraine and Russia, Ukraine and the United States. But it does seem like we are looking for another acceleration of the war over the next coming weeks and months.
Absolutely. Yeah, and to your point, timetables for the delivery of weapons and troops, according to the Times, Ukrainian troop buildup numbers, and to be fair, this is a snapshot of intelligence from a few weeks ago. Yeah, right. March 1st. So things obviously could have changed, but military analysts and military officials are obviously nervous about this. That's the implication of their reaction, is authenticating, essentially.
Yeah.
They've essentially authenticated it by their reaction, and they've also telegraphed, I think, some real concerns about the potential here. I wanted to ask you, in this broader context of how we've been expecting an offensive this spring, what does this look like in terms of how that now might play out? Does this, is this really like severely hampering what the United States and NATO was expecting to be an offensive that could put Putin on his heels and change the trajectory of the war?
I don't think so, because this has been a war where much has been out in the open.
Yeah.
Now, there's also been a lot of deflection. Like with the last offensive that Ukraine successfully pulled off, they had been signaling that they were headed toward a particular spot down south. Instead, they went up higher and caught Russia off guard there. So, but everybody knew there was an offensive that was brewing. So that's still all that you basically know, that there is a very well-equipped, well-trained offensive that's going to be on its way. But anybody reading the New York Times could have told you that, or just following what's going on in Congress. Like, those billions of dollars are going somewhere.
Right.
Like all the weapons that we're shipping over there are for a purpose.
Right.
And you could also look at the United States reactions to, like, China floating a peace plan. Like absolutely not. Like, and so if there wasn't some type of offensive plan, which we're publicly saying there is, they would have embraced peace plans. So yeah, I think the best hope that people can have at this point is that this offensive will be the last one.
What's the, so it says, this is from the Times, the modifications could point to an effort of disinformation by Moscow, the analyst said, but the disclosures in the original documents, which appear as photographs of charts of anticipated weapons deliveries, troop and battalion strengths, and other plans, represents a significant breach of American intelligence in the effort to aid Ukraine. When these get posted online with those alleged Russian modifications, other than some of the obvious things we've already listed, psychological disruption of the intelligence relationship between the United States and Ukraine, what is, if it's Russia, what is the benefit of posting this to Telegram and other social media channels?
Well, that's a good question. I would say that it is kind of morale. At this point, they presumably knew that the United States was aware of the breach.
Right.
It's March 1st it happened, so it's, by now people have figured that out. And so the intel had been so one-sided on this war that I think Russia was kind of embarrassed and felt like a JV power.
And they've been called the JV power repeatedly.
Right. I mean, the United States calling their shot, saying, look, you're going. Remember, the U.S. was like, you're going to invade on February 24th, 2022. Yeah. And they're saying this in January or something, or December. And they're like, no, we're not. These are just training exercises. And then they moved their invasion date by 12 hours so that the U.S. wouldn't have nailed the exact date that they invaded. Plus, they keep locating these generals that then get blown up, along with all sorts of other intelligence coups that the United States then very kind of subtly sort of takes credit for, but not really. And so I would guess that after they had kind of sopped up as much of the intelligence as they could, the goal was then to kind of embarrass the United States and show that Russia is actually still in the game. They're still able to purloin some classified information out of this. And also, you want Ukraine, and this may be the best reason, you want Ukraine and the United States to know publicly that you had somebody in there so that it creates the animosity and the suspicion. That's, the benefit of a mole inside an organization is almost, the benefit is blowing the organization up and getting everybody pointing fingers at each other almost more than it is getting the information out. And so this will lead to a lot of finger pointing.
And it probably already did before we realized.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Sagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.